Take a trip to the dollar store and pick up at least 7 mini pallets. You can use either of these. Get some flowers. I am going with these pretty pink ones, these blue ones, and a few fake succulents. You might have to look around a little bit for these. They are usually on a shelf or they are below the fake flowers. We are going to start this craft off by removing the stickers from the bottom of our wood pallets. They should come off right away as long as they haven't been stuck on there for a long time. After all of the stickers are taken off, lay out your mini pallets to see what you might want this to look like. You can have these pallet lines going down or across. Line 4 pallets up and glue the edges with wood glue. The largest bottom piece is what you want to stick together. The pattern I chose for my pallets was 1 pallet and then 2 and then 1 pallet, 2 and then 1. Press the glued pieces together and make sure it fully sticks. Glue onto this bottom piece 2 more pallets if you're going with this design. Try to avoid getting any wood glue onto your hands. If you do get any wood glue onto your hands, wash them before the glue dries. Glue one last pallet at the end between the 2 that you just glued down. After all of your pieces are in place and pressed onto each other, wipe away any extra glue with a paper towel and let the glue dry. Glue down your succulents. I am going in a diagonal pattern with my succulents. If you purchased any succulent plants that are potted, go and remove it from the piece of foam that is in here. Glue the succulent down. The petals at the side should be glued down as well. This will keep it in place and also hold it better, and it's way less likely to fall off. Now onto fabric flowers. Pull some fabric flowers off of the stems, place the flowers and arrange them before you glue them down. Glue them in place. Move on to the next fabric flower bunch. If your fake flowers have a large stem, cut it to size. These ones I am filling in extra space with. For larger flowers, make sure to glue a few petals down to keep it in place. Continue to fill in space with other flowers. Take some floral wire and cut just about a 6-inch piece. Loop this piece onto the back side of the top mini pallet. Twist the ends together. Cut off any extra wire and also save it for another craft. Bring your floral hanger outside, hang it up, and display it.
We're going to start with these dollar store canvases and we are going to unwrap them. So next step, we're going to be taking the canvas off of these wood frames. Now I'm using my flathead screwdriver and my needle nose pliers to try and pull the staples out if they're not too far in there. All right, so I'm going to finish removing all of these staples and then I'm going to remove the canvas on these other wood frames, and then we'll move on to our next step. What we're going to do is we are going to take popsicle sticks. I also got these from the dollar store, and we are going to glue them to the back. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun. We're going to start by gluing it here to kind of reinforce. And I want to space these out a little bit, so I'm just going to keep doing this all the way up, and I'm going to do it to all of my frames. So we'll be back. So by taking my hot glue, we're not done with this yet, I'm going to create a configuration that I like this. So that's going to be my configuration. So I'm not going to use a lot of glue because I don't want it to spill over that much, but I am going over one side. I'm going to connect it. We're going to connect it here, this side and this side. Nice and secured together. Okay, so for my next step, I wanted to add something to this. So I decided to buy some fake succulents from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to remove them from their little pottery. I don't know if I'm gonna use all of them, but definitely gonna use a lot of them. Okay, I definitely want this one in the middle. So I'm gonna take my hot glue on the back of this guy. We're gonna hold it here. The next thing I did is I purchased these off Amazon. I got some little baby clothespins and some twine. And what we're gonna do is we're going to glue the baby clothespins. So I'm gonna start here. I have a couple pictures that I printed, so I want to make sure that it's lined up the way I want it to be. Just takes a little bit of hot glue. So now the front part is dry and ready to have the hanger. And I'm actually gonna just hot glue this on the back. I'm in love with the after of this project. This just goes to show you, with a little creativity and thinking outside the box, you can decorate your home on a small budget. I literally spent less than $15 on all the supplies for this project, and I think it turned out wonderful. I love that I can kind of rotate out the pictures really easily with the clothespins. To start this project, we're going to need 3 of these cute little craft storage bins that you'll find in the craft department of Dollar Tree. And then I picked up these 2 12-inch wood slats. They were also at my local Dollar Tree in the craft section. What we're going to do first is we are going to take one of these bins, and we are going to be making sure it essentially stands, but it's at an angle. So we want to try and find the right angle for it to stand up properly, but also have the little baskets stand up at an angle as well. So what I'm gonna do for this part is I'm gonna use a pencil just to make sure I'm marking it correctly. And I'm just gonna mark this top line just so I have the angle right when I go to adhere it. Okay, so what we're gonna do first, put some glue here. And we're gonna line it up, let that bond for a second. So we have this side ready to go. So we're going to secure the other side with the glue, and then we're going to go back in with our glue sticks. I'm sorry, with our staple gun to make sure it's reinforced. So I'm gonna make sure it's even. I'm gonna mark it again. Kind of gives me a better idea of where I want to put my glue, and it just makes the process of lining it up so you know you have it in the right spot a little bit easier. So now that we have both of these in the right spot, we're gonna go in with a staple gun to kind of reinforce it. All right, so now that that's been reinforced, we're essentially gonna do the same thing with another one. We're gonna drop it down. Wanna make sure that we're creating that angle, same angle. And I'm gonna use my pencil for kind of a guideline because I wanna create like a very similar angle here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of glue, slide it back down, line it up as quickly as possible before the glue sets. And this Gorilla Glue is pretty awesome, so it sets pretty fast. All right, so now that this is securely in place, we're gonna do the same thing with our staple gun. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing for the third one. It's just gonna sit up a little bit higher, and then we will move on to the next step. All right, so now that this has been secured, what we're gonna do is we're going to use some stain. I'm using a Rustic Wood Effects water-based stain from Behr. I got it at my local Home Depot. What I love about water-based stain is that it dries very fast and it's water-based, so you don't have to really worry about a chemical smell, and you don't have to worry about it sticking to everything. Since this is a raw finished wood, it should just suck the stain up pretty quickly. So the instructions for this stain are that you apply it and you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then you wipe it off, like you wipe off the excess, and then you can apply as many coats as you'd like. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably apply about 1 to 2 coats of this. I'm just using a foam brush. You can use a regular brush as well. I kind of wanted to see how it would apply. Make sure we're getting in the creases here. So we're gonna go ahead and cover this entire thing in stain, including the interior. All right, so we're gonna let this sit for a couple minutes, and then we'll wipe off the excess and maybe do another coat before we come back and we move on to the next step. And here it is, here's the finished product. So we are gonna go put this in my bathroom and see it all finished up as additional storage space on the counter. And here's the finished product. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It works as perfect additional counter space, and it definitely gives off that farmhouse vibe that I'm going for. I hope you feel inspired to try this project on your own. Thank you so much for watching Home Talk, and I will see you next time.